Hey, all of you, good afternoon. Yeah, all of you, Ashish, Isha, Abhirup, Shubhra, Hemant, Jyoti, good afternoon. Am I streaming fine? Okay. Yes, Hemant. My glasses are back with me. I can see your messages now clearly. Hi, Avnish. Good morning. Good morning. Chalo, let's get on now. So, we are joined by the new students who start from climatology, and we finished off geomorphology. So for geomorphology, my suggestion is it's a very large unit. There are questions, but then do not lose yourself on uh, discussing or studying too many landforms. I've seen in most years, landforms is what troubles students and they overdo it. Okay, so एक landform पूछता है and bearing 2 or 3 landforms. All the landforms they've asked in geomorphology are from NCERTs largely. A couple of years ago, I would recommend one more book called as Goching Leong also. But lately I've realized that is not as helpful anymore. So I do not want to burden you with one more book. You try mastering your NCERTs. That's important from a prelims perspective also. And whatever I have done in the class notes, plus the book markings we have done. And somebody again, ये common question रहता है from many of you, like, sir, if we do books, is it enough? If your notes are enough? That's a question, and I mean, it's a bit of immature question. In UPSC preparation, nothing is enough. आप कितना ही पढ़ लो, एक और चैप्टर पढ़ा होगा पढ़ने के लिए. No matter how many articles you have read, you'll have another new article to read. But there's always a baseline you must cover. Okay, so एक baseline content है. This is must cover, and you have to master this. Once mastered this, then you do some additional enrichment, and then if you have time, you may cover something more. This is more aspirational. Okay, आप इसको master नहीं करके यहाँ मत जाओ. This is my suggestion. Okay, so this question on are the notes enough? Are the books enough? Answer is no, they are not. But that is a good base you have. Try to control that. And for heaven's sake, don't start reading more landforms across books. Okay? That's one suggestion from me. The next unit we are doing is climatology. Now, this unit is again as important as geomorphology, and it is very important from the perspective of prelims. Okay, prelims may, if you look at the questions, bulk of the questions in prelims are from climatology, or climatology maybe they focus a bit more on Indian climate, Indian monsoon, Indian rains, Indian temperature patterns, okay, disruptions because of El Nino, La Nina, whatever. So climatology is very, very conceptual. Okay, you cannot ignore this, and it's also rewarding. That's my point here. But this is a bit technical. When I say technical, if you have a bit of science background, it helps. Okay, but otherwise, ऐसा नहीं है कि people from non-science background or humanities background will find it difficult. Just be attentive with me. It'll take me about 15, 20 odd sessions लगेगा. Be with me. I'll try to manage it in whatever way we can. Hi Tehseen, good afternoon. What to do with mapping? Abhirup, you'll get the mapping videos from me. About 30, 35 odd videos हैं. Each video is worth about 15-20 minutes. Utna kafi hai. Again, don't go crazy on mapping. Okay. Plus, I said this Friday I'll do one session. I hope I can maintain it. I can do those sessions a bit more repeatedly. Okay. Yeah, Abhirup, you'll get it. Okay. हम उसको करा देंगे upload, no problem. Okay. Okay. So let's get back to climatology. Now your reference textbook is Savindra Singh Climatology. This book is there, and plus your NCRT. Okay, so your reference textbook is Climatology by Savindra Singh plus class 11th का NCRT fundamentals. Okay, in geography, physical geography, ये important किताब है. In NCRT there are I think 6 odd chapters शायद, unit 3 का part है या 2 का part देख लेना. ठीक है. This is your reference book, and there is a section of climatology. They ask on climate change, on some contemporary events of climate. That's largely current affairs. I will let you know as I teach. Okay, shouldn't be a big problem there. Now, all of you, please write down the syllabus of climatology. Okay, so your syllabus I divide into 3 parts. Syllabus 1, the basics. Then we have certain complex concepts, and we have applied concepts. Okay, broadly मैंने classify किया हुआ है. Basic concepts में atmosphere and atmospheric structure, although your syllabus doesn't mention this, but ये होना चाहिए. Then you have got planetary winds and circulations, local winds, temperature and pressure patterns. There's something called as the heat budget. Then there is precipitation patterns on the globe, atmosphere and atmospheric structure, planetary winds and circulation, कुछ models हैं, local winds, temperature and pressure patterns, temperature and pressure patterns, something called as heat budget, and global patterns of precipitation. Good afternoon. Good afternoon thing. Yeah. Complex concepts में you can add jet streams, air masses, frontogenesis. We have tropical and temperate cyclones, atmospheric stability and instability. Then we have some schemes of climate classification. Jet streams, I presume most of you have heard these terms, otherwise कोई नहीं दोबारा करेंगे हम लोग. So jet streams, air masses. There's a term called frontogenesis and fronts. Then we have tropical and temperate cyclones. So all those who are new students, you come to a class and discover कि board से पढ़ा नहीं जा रहा है. Okay, so don't worry. There is a very large club of these students. Ultimately, I convert them on my side. Okay, so at least that's what I feel that I succeed in. You cannot read, ask me. You are not unique, even I can't read sometimes. Okay. So, tropical and temperate cyclones, atmospheric stability and instability. Atmospheric stability and instability, and we have climatic classification. Yes, Hemant has understood that. I tell my students always, don't look at the board and write, listen to me and write. The board only gives you a sense of pattern, organization. आप सुनो और वो लिखो फिर. The climate classification में, your syllabus mentions 3 names. One is Köppen, one is Thornthwaite, and one is Trevartha. Three names, okay, and pretty popular questions. Köppen, Thornthwaite, and Trevartha. Nirvasan, this is not being fair. आपने ज़्यादा बोल दिया. This attending sir's classes, reading doctors' prescriptions become easier. No, इतना भी नहीं यार. Come on. Okay. Doctors are at another level. Okay. Yes, ऐसा भी नहीं करो यार. ठीक है. चलो, anyways. So that's about the complex topics. Applied topics में we have topics of climate change. We have man's adaptations to climate change. We have urban climate, okay. Global climate change, response of man's adaptations or man's response in climate changes, applied climatology and urban climate. Okay, so this is the range of your scope. Let me just check if I missed out something. It's a heat budget, atmospheric stability, planetary winds, local winds, monsoons. Yes, यहाँ पर monsoons भी mentioned है, but ठीक है, लिख लो इसको. We'll cover monsoons when I'm discussing Indian geography. ठीक है? Monsoons, jet streams, air masses, frontogenesis, temperate and tropical cyclones, weather and climate, atmospheric circulation, Köppen, Thornthwaite, Trevartha's classification of world climates, temperature and pressure belts of the world. अच्छा, एक hydrological cycle भी है. We also have a hydrological cycle. Hydrological cycle, types and distribution of precipitation, global climate change and role response of man in climate changes, applied climatology and urban climate. So all of you, please, you should have a copy of a syllabus. I have read that out. और अपने notes में ये आप लिख लो. That's how you start getting familiar with the scope of the unit. Now, see, in your PYQs अगर देखोगे ना, this section is very important, but very few questions. In fact, इसमें recent years में no questions on this. There have been no questions on hydrological cycle. Recent years में एक था, एक modified था. No question on temperature pattern or pressure pattern. Just एक या दो बार पूछा है heat budget. Precipitation they've asked one or two, couple of times. Local winds they do ask, but very simple questions, and no questions on planetary winds. This is the core of climatology. Okay, without this you can't move ahead. But इससे questions आते नहीं हैं generally. Bulk of the questions are here. Almost 6, 7 out of 10 questions are from these topics. This is a very popular area, climate classification. हर साल एक पूछता है lately last couple of years में. Very important topic. वैसे ही air mass, frontogenesis and cyclones. This also is a very popular topic. And the good part about this section unit is, अगर ऑप्शन में नहीं पूछा तो जीएस में पूछ लेता है. Okay, and they keep on switching. Okay, so this is very important topic. Jet streams, again they do ask. Monsoons is a topic 100% in your paper 2. They will have a question on monsoons in paper 2 definitely. Either monsoon theories or something on monsoon rainfall disruptions or monsoon variability, monsoon climate change. इस पे होते हैं questions. Okay, and this of course एक दो बार पूछा है, but not as common. So this complex section is more popular, और इससे again definitely one question. On climate change, they link climate change with sea level rise, they link climate change with deforestation, they link climate change with agriculture, they link climate change, urban climate, कुछ ना कुछ इससे पूछेगा. Okay, so this we will do of course, but this is not where your questions are. Okay, some sense of your syllabus, all of you. Okay, let's move on then. I hope all of you have your question banks with you. Okay, so as I teach, I'll tell what questions are asked. We'll keep writing those down also. No, I think you are among the new joinees here. So what I recommend to all of you is, don't open. आपका दो किताब है. One book is Climatology by Savindra Singh. Another book I have recommended is NCERT, class 11th, Fundamentals of Physical Geography. There are about 6 chapters, I think, on climate. Okay, ये वाला आप self करो and finish this in 1 or 2 days. Okay, this one please don't read on your own. As I teach, once in 3, 4, 5 days, I'll ask for the book and I'll tell you the pages. This is a very big book. आप पूरा एक बार पढ़ भी नहीं पाओगे. So this book is very selectively taught, and as you develop more interest on your own, you can initiate afterwards. But now, don't open this one. You're focused on this one. And master the class notes is the first step. Rishikesh, right? Okay. Hi, Bhavani. Okay. Okay, let's move on. So, take a fresh page. Climatology. Okay. So, first point here, atmosphere is the envelope of gases. Okay, what's the atmosphere? Atmosphere is the envelope, a kind of layer, a cover. It's the envelope of gases of the earth. The atmosphere is a mixture of gases. Okay, when I say mixture of gases, का मतलब है there are individual gases. They do not react with one another. Okay, the gases can be separated. There are experiments how we can separate oxygen, we can separate hydrogen. Okay, so this is the gas, atmosphere. इसमें oxygen है, इसमें nitrogen है, it has carbon dioxide, it has water vapor also in this. It also includes some amount of hydrogen, some amount of ozone. ये सब मिला जुला है, but the gases are not interacting chemically with one another. Okay, every gas is found independent of the others, but yes, they are very well mixed. The atmosphere is a mixture of gases. The individual gases, they do not react, and the gases do not mix. They can be separated out. Now, atmosphere is not only gases. Atmosphere mein the gases are the bulk. Along with gases, atmosphere also includes ions. It also includes dust particles. It also includes uh, water vapor and water droplets. It also includes ice crystals, and now we know it also has pollutants. So although atmosphere is majorly gases, but atmosphere is not just gases. Okay, और सबके अपने अपने रोल है. There is some role the ions play. There is some role dust particles have. जैसे अभी आपका you've heard about artificial rainfall. Artificial rainfall is not possible if or rain is not possible if atmosphere doesn't have dust particles or some salt crystals. And also add here, it also has salt crystals. ये natural है. You have got more salt crystals along the coasts, along the seashore, above the oceans and water. Yes, okay. The solids mixed in air are called as aerosols. Atmosphere में aerosols हैं. You are very right. Okay, Aditya. Okay. So atmosphere is a complex mixture. Yeah, adding those particles artificially is what's called as cloud seeding. Clouds and rainfall require some substances so that droplets can form. And those substances can be dust particles, they can be salt crystals, they can be ice crystals. You can also seed the clouds with what's called as, solid carbon dioxide, right? So, ये कुछ तरीके हैं करने के लिए, but atmosphere is all of this taken together. अच्छा, now, the extent of the atmosphere is about 800, 1000 kilometers above surface. Okay. Now, this is a matter of debate. Okay. Because see, ऐसा कोई line नहीं है. The atmosphere ends and the space starts. The fact is, the atmosphere merges with the outer space. It merges with the outer space imperceptibly. Means हमें पता नहीं चलेगा. Where does the outer space begin? Where does the atmosphere end? It's not a clean line. The atmosphere merges with the outer space imperceptibly. You cannot know it properly. But for all practical purpose, हम इसको boundary मान के चलते हैं. Okay. So this is more of you can say a mathematical concepts than a strong line where atmosphere ends. Mathematically or in terms of some physics principles and phenomena, we consider atmosphere may be considered as up to 800 kilometers or 1000 kilometers. इसी context में एक और concept आता है called as the Kármán line. Kármán line is at around 62 miles above surface. That's approximately about 100 kilometers above the surface, as in above the sea level. The Kármán line, K-A-R-M-A-N, Kármán line. So, Kármán line, some consider it as the height beyond which regular planes can't fly. For the planes to fly, they require what's called as lift. Okay, something must pull the aircraft above. They require thrust, like ये push कर पाए. Regular planes require air. अगर air नहीं होगा, the planes can't fly. I mean, if you heard about problems of flying helicopter in Siachen Glacier region, the air is so thin, or you have heard about this crash near Kedarnath also. Atmosphere बहुत thin होता है. Okay, to fly planes at that height is difficult. अगर regular air नहीं है. So Carmel line is more of a line for aeronautical purposes. Okay, so you can write down here that regular aircrafts cannot fly efficiently beyond the Karman line because of very rarefied atmosphere. Okay, the regular aircrafts cannot fly above the Karman line because of very rarefied. मतलब क्या है? Air is very very thin. Rarefied का मतलब होता है it's very very thin air. Because of which the lift is not effective and planes can fall down. So अगर jet engines हैं or some other technology हैं, those can fly, but not the regular propeller planes. The older models, they can't fly. Okay, so in some considerations we consider Carmel line may be considered as the boundary of the atmosphere. But then I said this boundary is more in the context of aeronautical engineering, more in the context of regular planes within which they can fly. Yeah, so it's very thin air, the lift. Okay, when aircraft flies, there is a lift that helps the plane rise up. There is a thrust that pushes the plane forward. Okay, there's a drag of friction. So 4-5 forces होते हैं. जो lift करता है, the force is called as the lift force. And for lift force, I need to have some amount of atmospheric density. The molecules are less. The regular planes can't fly. Okay? So what's the atmosphere? Atmosphere is a mixture, and the boundaries of the atmosphere, I said, debatable hai. But for all atmospheric processes, we consider the boundary at around 800, 1000 kilometers above the Earth's surface. Okay, I think the point's done. Yes, thin air means the air is less. You're right. Less density air. Correct. Okay. Let's move on now. Now, talking about atmospheric composition. Talking about atmospheric composition. We said atmosphere is a mixture. It is a mixture. And we said it has gases, it has water vapor, it has ice crystals, it has dust particles and so on. Okay. But bulk of the atmosphere is what? It is the gases. Kaushik, it's a mix of everything. ठीक है? Some friction कम है तो अच्छी बात है, but अगर air नहीं है, okay, तो it can't move ahead. जैसे कि कार ड्राइव करने में भी for the wheels to move and the car to move, I need friction. But beyond a point, the friction can also be damaging. Okay, so in that sense, सोचो आप. Okay, let's move on. So all of this now, the dominant component of the atmosphere are gases. अब gases में there are certain permanent gases which are also the major gases, and there are others which are the minor. When I say major, minor, I talk in terms of the amount, not in terms of how important they are. Okay. So permanent major gases may we have nitrogen and we have oxygen. Nitrogen is about 78% and this is about 21%. Major gases and permanent gases may we have nitrogen and oxygen. Okay. Nitrogen is 78%. By the way, of what? आगे क्या लिखोगे? 78% of what? Of gases. Gases का क्या? Yes. Volume of what? Atmosphere. Okay. So 78% by volume of dry air. No, it's not in terms of mass. It's not in terms of molecules. Okay. 78% by volume of dry air. It's an important detail we miss out in our studies. Dry air, yes. In this ratios, water vapor is not considered because water vapor is a very variable amount. It varies very rapidly. Okay? So this is the permanent ones and major ones. The minor wales hain. We have carbon dioxide. It is 0.03%. We have argon. It is 0.9%. And we have other trace gases. It includes ozone, helium, some bit of hydrogen, some bit of krypton and so on. We call those as trace gases. बहुत कम amount. Say ozone, for example, is as less as 0.00004% by volume of dry air. It's very, very less amount. Okay? आप ये दो तीन याद रखो. Nitrogen 78%, oxygen is 21%, carbon dioxide is 0.03% and argon is 0.9%. Okay, some idea about the composition. And the other, okay, other variable composition includes water vapor, variable includes dust particles, variable also includes ice crystals. Okay, so in these numbers, we don't add this. The variable parts of atmosphere hai, we don't add water vapor, dust particles and ice crystals. Pollutants. Okay, by the way, पहले बताओ कि pollutant होता क्या है? Anybody can define pollutant in maybe one sentence? What are they? What are pollutants? Anybody? Huh? Yes. Okay. Anything which is not a part of that system naturally is a pollutant. Okay. वहां होना नहीं चाहिए और वो वहां पर है. जैसे you've heard about ozone gas, right? Ozone is found where? In the stratosphere. Okay. अगर ozone stratosphere में है, वो natural है, होना चाहिए. The same ozone, if I find in the troposphere, it becomes a pollutant. Anything which is not supposed to be in the system, and you find it, it's a pollutant. In this composition, I can't talk about pollutants, right? This is the composition of the natural air. Pollutants का मतलब है, it is not supposed to be there. तो vary करेगा. Pollutants above industrial regions are different. Pollutants above urban areas are different. Pollutants above agricultural land will be different. So pollutants इस ratio में नहीं आएंगे ना? How can you be sure about pollutants का कितना ratio है? Pollutants vary from place to place. They vary from season to season. Pollutants daytime is different, nighttime is different. तो ये सारे proportions में pollutants हम नहीं कर रहे हैं consider. Okay. And because they're not natural, that's why we call them as polluted. So we ignore that. Yes, Shivam, correct. So this is the ratio largely. Now, a very important points. Number one point is that the ratio of the gases, in atmosphere is fixed. ये एक प्रिंसिपल है, बोलते हैं इसको द प्रिंसिपल ऑफ कांस्टेंट proportion. The ratio of the gases in the atmosphere is fixed. जो रेशियो है ना, नाइट्रोजन is 78%, okay, oxygen is 21%, argon is 0.93%, carbon dioxide is 0.03%. Okay, and this makes up, add karo, this is how much? This is 99.96% of the atmosphere. ये ratio fixed है. It doesn't change. Okay. It's fixed. Okay. Irrespective of the amount of gases and the density of atmosphere. It is fixed irrespective of the amount of gases and the density of the atmosphere. Okay. What I mean by this is, say I'm standing at the ground level, or say इस layer में there are say 1000 molecules of atmosphere or gases. I go a bit higher, this layer में there are 100 molecules of atmosphere. I go more higher, maybe there are 10 molecules of atmosphere. I think all of us know this. As we go up with height, the air becomes thinner. You've got less and less molecules. In this 1000, 780 will be nitrogen, 210 will be oxygen, okay, 90 will be argon and so on. ये ratio इसी ratio में है. If I come here, it basically means 78 is nitrogen, we have 21 is oxygen, 9 is argon and so on, or 1 rather. 0.9 is argon. If I come here, it is 7.8 is nitrogen, 2.1 is oxygen, and 0.01 will be argon. The ratio same rahega. Okay. So irrespective of how much of molecules we have, irrespective of density kitna hai, the ratio proportion is always constant. Ye ek property atmosphere, we just accept it. We call this as the principle of constant proportion. Yes, this is also right. Ye ratio is also applicable for salts in the oceans. ठीक है, you're right. वहां पर भी ऐसा ही होता है. Yes. ठीक है, कोई नया चेंज हो गया. हम बात कर रहे हैं मिलियंस ईयर में बात कर रहे हैं, एवरेज में बात कर रहे हैं. तो मेरे घर में ऑक्सीजन कम हो गया. ओके, वो थोड़ी यहां पे दिखाएंगे हम. तो ठीक है, those are additions, some study something. Okay, some are general patterns and they do change, but they are not a part of the regular pattern in general. तो नया स्टडी है, कुछ निकला है, except that's it. Yes, so this ratio is fixed. इसमें ओजोन भी आएगा 0.0004, okay, all of that. Okay, this is one important. The ratio of gases in the atmosphere is fixed because it's a principle of constant proportion. ये एक fact है. Another important fact is for weather and for climatic processes like temperature patterns, for rainfall, for winds, for clouds, okay? For weather and climatic processes, okay, the major gases do not play a significant role. Nitrogen is 78%, oxygen is 21%. ये दोनों मिलाकर it is 99%. आप इसमें आर्गन ऐड कर दो 0.93%, ये मिला के 99.93% हो गया. Okay. These gases, I'm saying, they do not have a role to play in the atmospheric processes for climate. Okay. So for weather and climate process, temperature, rainfall, winds, clouds and all of that, the major gases do not play a significant role. Means, okay, the more important gases for climate and weather, the more important atmospheric constituents are carbon dioxide, the more important are water vapor, the more important are ozone, the more important are pollutants, जो कि कम है और वो वेरिएबल है. ठीक है? Anybody knows why? Yeah? They can change. Side change effects. Okay, not wrong, but something more specific. Because yes, because these are called as greenhouse gases. They're called as greenhouse substances. They are capable of absorbing heat. Okay. Nitrogen, oxygen, they are largely ineffective in terms of absorbing heat. थोड़ा बहुत ऑक्सीजन कर भी लेता है. नाइट्रोजन का ऑलमोस्ट नॉट सिग्निफिकेंट प्रॉपर्टी. यस, ओबेर करेक्ट. ओके, सो दीज कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड है, वाटर वेपर है, ओजोन है. यू कैन ऐड मीथेन हैज सम रोल. CH4, methane. A pollutant called carbon monoxide has a role. Pollutants like hydrofluorocarbons, okay, all of that, they have a more important role. Right? Yeah, carbon soot, you're right. So, whatever climate process we see, some place warm, some place cold, some place it's rainfall, some places dry, some places can have thunderstorms and cyclones, वो इनके वजह से होते हैं. Because these gases and these compositions, they're capable of absorbing heat and they're capable of exchanging heat. We call these as greenhouse gases or greenhouse substances. Right? Short में हम बोलते हैं GHG या फिर GHS बोलते हैं. The greenhouse substances. So put a important star mark लिखो यहाँ पर, write down. All atmospheric processes and weather patterns. Add a few lines, please. All atmospheric processes and weather patterns are because of variations in atmospheric heat energy. All atmospheric processes and all weather patterns are because of variations in atmospheric heat energy. Okay. The weather processes are a mechanism. The weather processes are a mechanism that help redistribute heat energy, that help redistribute heat energy. Why do we have winds moving? Why do we have storms? Winds moving very, very fast. Why in some places air rises rapidly and we have cloud formation? ये सब mechanism एक ही वजह से है. The atmosphere is trying to find ways ताकि energy का जो differences हैं, it can be managed. Somewhere hot, air rises, okay, and rising air, cold air will move in to fill that up, and that's how the circulation starts. Okay, so all atmospheric processes and all weather processes are an attempt by the atmosphere to essentially manage variations in its heat energy. इसीलिए these substances are more important than nitrogen and oxygen. इनका अलग रोल है. I'm not saying that they have no role. Nitrogen का important role है. It helps in dilution, otherwise atmosphere जल जाएगा. Oxygen helps in respiration. And remember, oxygen also helps in burning. If there was no nitrogen, the atmosphere would have burnt away. There is a dilution. Argon का भी काम है. It helps in dilution of the atmosphere. Okay. Plus, nitrogen also supports life, nitrification, and the plant's growth. ऐसा नहीं है that nitrogen and oxygen don't play an important role. They play an important role, but they don't have an important role in atmospheric processes. हम वो उसमें emphasize कर रहे हैं. Nitrogen and oxygen, they do not have any important role in atmospheric events, rainfall हुआ, winds and so on. But otherwise, they have importance in biological processes. They have importance in other physical and chemical processes. Okay? A short note on what is the atmosphere's composition and the significance of the atmosphere components. Is it okay all of you here? All fine? Any questions on this? Okay. Now, what is the structure of the atmosphere? Whenever I use the word structure, it is about some internal arrangement. It's about some organization of a system. कैसे arranged है? Okay. What is the structure of human body? How is the body arranged? The head, the organ systems, the bones and all of that. वो structure कैसा है? The structure of an answer. वो arranged कैसा है? आपने क्या पहले लिखा? आपने क्या बाद में लिखा? What are the subpoints? So what is the structure of atmosphere means? How is the atmosphere arranged? Arrangement कैसा है? Okay. The arrangement of atmosphere we can study in three different ways. One is in terms of degree of mixing. How well the atmosphere is mixed. The degree of mixing. We have said atmosphere is a mixture. Okay, सब कुछ मिला हुआ है. But the degree of mixing is not same everywhere. Okay, so atmosphere is a well mixed. Okay, a well mixed mixture of gases. But the lower 80 kilometers are more mixed and are relatively more homogeneous. The lower 80 kilometers. Okay, नीचे में ज़्यादा mixing हो रहा है. This lower 80 kilometers, because अच्छे से mixed है, we call this as the homosphere. And beyond 80 kilometers, the mixing is relatively lesser. We call this as the heterosphere. Okay. Atmosphere mixture है. The gases are all mixed. The lower layers are better mixed. The upper layers are not as well mixed. The lower layer को बोलते हैं homosphere, as in homogeneous, 80 and below, and above 80 we call those as heterosphere. ठीक है? So this is the atmosphere, 80 kilometers. This is called as homosphere, and this is called as heterosphere. They don't, Yashavardhan. Okay. In the homosphere, the mixing is so good that the gases do not separate out in terms of their molecular or atomic weight. Look at this. Nitrogen का कितना weight है, atomic weight? 14, it is 28. Oxygen का कितना weight है? 16, 32. Carbon dioxide कितना weight है? 32 and 14, it is 44. I mean, if you know the atomic weight and the, right? Hydrogen, nitrogen, atomic weight is 14. So N2 is 28, 14 plus 14. Oxygen atomic weight is 16. Okay, plus 16 you get 32. Carbon ka weight is 12 and this is 32. You add this, you get 44. Okay, hydrogen is 1. Okay, you add that, you get 2. If there was segregation according to weight, the lower layer में क्या होना चाहिए था? Carbon dioxide. And of these three, they should have been at a higher height. ऐसा नहीं है. In the homosphere, okay, the gases do not form layers in terms of their atomic or molecular weight. ऐसा नहीं है. The lower layer is carbon dioxide. You go above, you've got oxygen. You go more above, it is nitrogen. ऐसा नहीं है. I think I told that to you, right? The gases are very well mixed. We have the principle of constant proportion. At every height, the ratios are maintained. Yes. Just give me a second. I know.